These motorcycles are piling up in dealership lots, gathering dust, and losing value faster than a rusty chain. In 2025, some bikes have crashed so hard in the market that dealers are now slapping massive discount cards on them just to get them off the lot. But even at rock-bottom prices, these motorcycles are financial traps waiting to happen. So before you spend a single dollar on a new ride, you need to see this. Today, we're counting down the 10 motorcycles that are now completely worthless in 2025. And trust me, number 1 will shock every Harley Davidson fan out there. Number 10. Suzuki Boulevard M109R. Once hailed as the king of muscle cruisers, the M109R used to be the dream bike for anyone who wanted pure street power without worrying about practicality. Back when it first hit the scene, this bike turned heads everywhere with its aggressive stance, massive rear tire, and sheer brute force. At the heart of the M109R is a beastly 1,783 cubic centimeter V-twin engine, delivering a thunderous 128 horsepower and a jaw-dropping 118 pound-feet of torque. On paper, this thing was a monster, and for a while it lived up to the hype. But fast forward to 2025, and this bike has crashed harder than anyone expected. Dealerships across America are sitting on M109Rs that they simply cannot sell. They are slashing prices, offering massive discounts, some dealers cutting thousands off the sticker just to clear them off the lot. You'll see them listed for $9,000, $8,000, sometimes even less, and yet buyers are staying far away. Why? Because underneath that muscle cruiser image, the M109R is a dinosaur. It hasn't seen a meaningful update in years. There is no traction control, no ride modes, no full-color digital display, and the analog gauge setup feels like something from the early 2000s. While other bikes have evolved, the M109R is stuck in the past, and riders in 2025 want modern tech with their muscle. And it gets worse. The M109R is an absolute gas guzzler, struggling to squeeze out 32 miles per gallon. Add in rising fuel prices and maintenance costs, and suddenly this bike is not just outdated, it is financially draining. One dealership manager in Missouri recently said they dropped the price on 5 M109Rs to $7,500 and still couldn't move them. That's how cold the market has become. So if you are thinking about scooping up an M109R because it looks like a deal, think twice. That discount price is bait for a long-term money pit. Before we jump into the next bike, if you're enjoying this list, make sure you hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Number 9. Harley Davidson Sportster S. This bike was supposed to be Harley Davidson's bold answer to critics who claimed the brand was stuck in the past. When it launched in 2021, Harley billed it as the future of American muscle cruisers. Something fresh, fast, and tech-packed to lure in a younger generation of riders. On paper, it sounded like a dream. Under the tank, the Sportster S packs the Revolution Max 1,250 cubic centimeter V-twin engine, delivering a solid 121 horsepower and 94 pound-feet of torque. That's serious performance for a Harley cruiser. It also came equipped with modern upgrades like liquid cooling, a slipper clutch, adjustable ride modes, and a fully digital dash. For a company that built its name on old-school air-cooled machines, this was a major shift. But here in 2025, the reality is harsh. This so-called modern muscle bike has completely flopped. Dealers across the country are now buried in unsold Sportster S models, desperately trying to clear out inventory. Massive discounts are everywhere. Some Harley Davidson dealerships are cutting prices by as much as $3,000 just to move units, with bikes listed for under $12,500. A far cry from the original $15,000 sticker price. Even with those markdowns, these bikes are still sitting untouched. So what went wrong? First and foremost, the price-to-performance ratio. While the Sportster S boasts solid specs, many riders quickly realized they could get smoother, lighter, and more versatile bikes like the Yamaha MT-07 for nearly half the price. Add in skyrocketing insurance costs for younger riders, and the Sportster S quickly became a tough sell. Resale value is another nail in the coffin. Riders who bought new just a year or two ago are now struggling to get even $9,000 on the used market. On forums and social media, owners are calling it a financial disaster. A flashy bike that depreciated faster than anyone expected. And then there's the ride itself. Weighing in at 502 pounds, the Sportster S feels heavy and stiff, especially for city riding. It looks aggressive, but it lacks the comfort and soul that longtime Harley riders expect. And if you think Harley Davidson's modern muscle bike is struggling, wait until you hear what's happening to BMW's so-called luxury cruiser. That one's an even bigger disaster. Number 8. BMW R18. When the R18 rolled onto the scene, BMW thought they were about to rewrite the rules of the cruiser game. At the heart of the R18 is a monstrous 1,802 cubic centimeter boxer engine, delivering 91 horsepower and 116 pound-feet of torque. That massive twin-cylinder setup gave it the most powerful boxer engine BMW had ever produced, and the entire bike was coated in chrome, screaming luxury and nostalgia. But in 2025, the reality is grim. This so-called luxury cruiser has become an anchor around the neck of BMW dealerships, and it is gathering dust faster than any other heavyweight cruiser in its class. Dealers across the country are desperate to offload these bikes, slashing prices by thousands of dollars to move inventory. Some lots are offering up to $3,500 in discounts just to get the R18 out the door. The main reason? Weight and price. The R18 tips the scales at a back-breaking 891 pounds. That's heavier than most riders are willing to wrestle with, especially when today's market is shifting hard toward lightweight, tech-savvy motorcycles. Add to that a starting price of $17,500 when it launched, and it's no surprise buyers have looked the other way. Beyond its weight and price, the R18's impracticality is a big reason why resale values have crashed. Riders today want bikes they can use daily, something nimble, tech-loaded, and fuel-efficient. The R18 struggles to deliver on all fronts, barely hitting 33 miles per gallon and offering little in the way of modern rider aids beyond basic traction control and anti-lock braking systems. Even nostalgia can't save this bike. While the R18 was designed to pay tribute to BMW's 1930s heritage, most younger riders don't care, and the older Harley Davidson crowd isn't switching brands anytime soon. Forums are full of R18 owners trying to offload their bikes for as little as $10,000 and still finding no takers. If you see an R18 at your local dealership with a big discount card on it, there's a reason. It's a sinking ship. But it's not just heavyweights crashing in value. Even beginner-friendly bikes aren't safe. Wait until you see the next bike on the list. Number 7. Kawasaki Vulcan S. The Vulcan S was once hailed as the perfect beginner cruiser, a bike that made the world of two wheels more accessible for new riders. It arrived on the scene with plenty of promise, powered by a 649 cubic centimeter parallel twin engine that delivered 61 horsepower and 46 pound-feet of torque. Add to that an approachable 27.4-inch seat height and Kawasaki's ErgoFit system, which allowed riders to adjust the handlebars, foot pegs, and seat to fit their body, and you had a motorcycle that seemed tailor-made for entry-level riders. But in 2025, the Vulcan S is sitting unsold on showroom floors across America. It has become one of the most unwanted bikes in the market, and Kawasaki dealerships are now offering massive discounts just to clear them out. Some dealers have slashed prices by over $1,000 below the manufacturer's suggested retail price, desperate to dump their remaining inventory before the year is out. The Vulcan S has not received a meaningful update in nearly a decade. The motorcycle you'll find in 2025 is basically the same machine that launched back in 2015. It is stuck in the past, offering no modern features like cornering anti-lock braking systems, ride modes, or even a digital display. Instead, it still relies on a basic analog gauge that looks straight out of the early 2000s. Second, recent tariff increases on imported motorcycles have driven up the cost of Japanese bikes like the Vulcan S. What was once a $7,000 budget-friendly option now sits closer to $8,500 out the door. And when buyers can get more modern, better-equipped motorcycles like the Honda Rebel 500 for $6,500, the Vulcan S starts to look like a bad deal. And let's not forget resale value. Riders who bought a Vulcan S new in the last few years are now struggling to sell them for even $4,000, even with low mileage and clean titles. The market has simply moved on, leaving the Vulcan S behind. And if you think the Vulcan S is a bad deal, the next bike on this list is a premium sport tourer that has fallen even harder from grace. Keep watching. Number 6. KTM 1290 Super Duke GT. Built to crush miles without sacrificing speed, this machine blends long-distance comfort with serious track-ready power. At the heart of this aggressive beast is a 1,299 cubic centimeter V-twin engine that delivers a staggering 175 horsepower and 94 pound-feet of torque. On paper, it promised to be a dream machine. Fast, nimble, and loaded with tech-like cornering anti-lock braking system, multiple ride modes, a quick shifter, and semi-active suspension. But here's the ugly truth in 2025. This bike has become a financial nightmare. Dealerships across the country are desperate to offload leftover Super Duke GTs, slashing prices by thousands of dollars just to clear out showroom space. Some dealerships have even been spotted offering discounts of up to $4,000 off the sticker price, practically begging riders to take one home. When this bike hit the market, it carried a jaw-dropping sticker of $20,000. For a sport touring bike, that price was hard to swallow, especially when you could get a Yamaha Tracer 9 GT or a Kawasaki Ninja 1000 SX for thousands less and still enjoy cutting-edge tech. Owners also reported frequent electrical glitches, overheating problems, and clutch failures, all while racking up massive repair bills. Many riders shared their horror stories online, describing how they spent more time in the dealership service bay than on the road, and when you add the cost of maintenance and premium European parts, it became clear that this bike was a money pit. Then there's the depreciation curve. A used Super Duke GT that once sold for $20,000 is now struggling to fetch even $10,000 on the used market. That's a brutal 50% loss in just a few years. Riders who took the bait early are now desperate to unload them at steep losses, and buyers are steering clear. And if you think a premium sport touring machine losing half its value is bad, wait until you see the next bike on the list. A budget cruiser that's become a total disaster. Number 5. Honda Shadow Phantom. For riders who wanted that classic blacked-out style without breaking the bank, it seemed like a dream come true. At its heart, this bike comes with a 745 cubic centimeter V-twin engine, delivering 44 horsepower and 47 pound-feet of torque. It is paired with a low 25.6-inch seat height, making it accessible for new riders and smaller riders alike. Back when it launched in the year 2010, it offered that stripped-down bobber aesthetic at an affordable $7,500 price tag, and its reputation for bulletproof reliability made it a common choice at dealerships. But in 2025, this bike has become a liability for dealerships. These Shadows are sitting unsold on lots nationwide, and dealers are slashing prices by thousands just to get rid of them. Some are even offering used models as low as $3,500 with low mileage and aftermarket pipes, and they still cannot get buyers interested. The reasons for this collapse are obvious to anyone paying attention to the motorcycle market. First, the design of the Shadow Phantom has barely changed in more than a decade. Riders today expect modern technology, features like ride modes, full-color digital displays, and cornering anti-lock braking systems. Instead, the Shadow is stuck in 2010 with a basic analog gauge cluster and no standard anti-lock braking system. Fuel economy is decent at 48 miles per gallon, but that is not enough to make up for its outdated platform. The bike's 44 horsepower output feels weak when compared to modern competitors that offer more power, better handling, and updated features at similar prices. And speaking of competition, Chinese brands like Bonneville are flooding the market with stylish modern cruisers under $7,000. Even loyal Honda riders are jumping ship. Forums are filled with owners lamenting the plummeting resale value. One rider shared how he bought a Shadow Phantom in 2022 for $7,000 and cannot get more than $3,000 for it now, even after adding accessories. And speaking of outdated machines, the next bike on this list is a retro classic that is gathering dust on dealer lots everywhere. You will not believe how far it has fallen. Number 4. Triumph Bonneville Bobber. When the Bonneville Bobber first hit the market, it was supposed to be the ultimate throwback bike for riders chasing that stripped-down retro style. At its heart is a parallel twin engine measuring 1,200 cubic centimeters, producing 77 horsepower and 78 pound-feet of torque. On the showroom floor, the Bobber looked like a dream. A low slam seat at 27.2 inches, wide flat bars, and a hardtail look that screamed classic cool. It was marketed as the perfect blend of old-school attitude with modern reliability. With a starting price of $13,500, the Bobber was pitched to experienced riders who wanted something different without sacrificing performance. And in the early years, it worked. Riders loved its distinctive single seat, minimalist styling, and nod to the stripped-down customs of the 1930s and 1940s. But here's the harsh reality in 2025. The Bobber is now a dealership nightmare. Dealers across the country are sitting on unsold inventory, desperate to clear them out. Many are offering massive discounts, cutting prices by as much as $2,000 to move these bikes off the lot, but the interest just isn't there anymore. One of the biggest reasons? The market has shifted. Today's riders want versatility, tech, and bang for their buck. The Bobber lacks all three. There are no ride modes, no cornering anti-lock braking system, no modern connectivity features, just a basic analog display and an old-school aesthetic that no longer justifies its premium price. On top of that, the bike's niche appeal is working against it. The Bobber looks cool, but it is not practical. The single seat limits passenger use. The riding position is uncomfortable for long trips, and the minimalist design sacrifices functionality for style. Riders who used to crave this kind of bike are now gravitating toward adventure models and sport nakeds that offer more power, more tech, and more comfort at similar or lower prices. And if you thought old-school British bikes were struggling, the next bike on this list is an American cruiser classic that has completely collapsed in value. You do not want to miss this one. Number 3. Indian Scout 60. The bike was once celebrated as an affordable gateway into the Indian motorcycle brand, offering classic cruiser styling at a price point aimed at beginners and budget-conscious riders. Underneath its stripped-down retro exterior, it features a 999 cubic centimeter V twin engine, delivering 78 horsepower and 65 pound-feet of torque. With a low 25.6-inch seat height, lightweight frame, and clean, minimalist lines, the Scout 60 was marketed as a perfect entry-level cruiser with American heritage baked in. But here's the brutal truth in 2025. The Scout 60 has become one of the worst investments you can make on two wheels. Harley Davidson dealerships and Indian showrooms alike are scrambling to offload these bikes, slashing prices, and throwing in massive discounts just to move aging inventory. Some dealerships are cutting prices by up to $2,000 off the sticker price, and even then, they are struggling to find takers. The Scout 60 is falling behind in a market where new riders demand technology and value. Despite its approachable image, this bike offers nothing beyond basic anti-lock braking system and an analog gauge cluster. No ride modes, no traction control, no digital display, nothing that today's riders expect even at the entry level. By comparison, Chinese and Japanese brands like Bonneville and Kawasaki are selling similarly powered cruisers with full-color digital dashboards, selectable ride modes, and better fuel efficiency, all for thousands of dollars less. Second, the Scout 60's resale value has tanked. Riders who paid over $11,000 for a new unit back in 2023 are now struggling to sell them for $5,000 or less. Forums are littered with frustrated owners sharing horror stories of their bikes sitting on classified sites for months with no buyers, even after significant price drops. And the maintenance costs don't help either. Replacement parts are expensive, service intervals are short, and many smaller shops refuse to work on these bikes, sending owners back to the dealership where labor costs are through the roof. And if an American legend like Indian cannot hold its value, wait until you hear about the next bike on the list. A Ducati that's become a total disaster for dealerships everywhere. Number 2. Ducati Monster 937. Launched back in the year 2021, this bike promised everything riders dreamed of: Italian styling, aggressive performance, and prestige. Underneath that sharp frame sits a 937 cubic centimeter Testastretta V-twin engine, delivering 111 horsepower and 69 pound-feet of torque. It weighs in at just 414 pounds, making it one of the lightest middleweight naked bikes in its class. On paper, it should have been a home run. But in 2025, this bike has become one of the worst financial mistakes you can make. Ducati dealerships across the country are struggling to move these machines. Massive discounts are plastered on showroom floors, sometimes up to $3,000 off. And even with that, these bikes are not selling. It's reached the point where Ducati dealers are practically begging people to take them away. So why has the Monster 937 fallen from grace? First, there's the price. The starting price hovered around $12,500 when it first hit the market, which positioned it squarely against Japanese rivals like the Yamaha MT-09 and the Suzuki GSX-8S, bikes that offer similar or better performance for thousands less. And these Japanese bikes are cheaper to maintain, easier to repair, and hold their value much better on the used market. That brings us to the second problem: ownership costs. Ducati motorcycles are notorious for their expensive service intervals. The Monster 937 requires valve inspections every 7,500 miles, and if you walk into a Ducati service center, expect to pay nearly $1,000 for each visit. Add in costly electronic issues, premium parts, and the need for specialized mechanics, and suddenly this so-called affordable Ducati becomes a money pit. Then there's the resale value. Owners who paid full price in 2022 or 2023 are now struggling to sell their bikes for even $9,000. Forums are filled with frustrated riders posting listings and getting no offers. The market has spoken, and it's not kind. So if you see one of these monsters sitting at your local dealership with a discount tag, do yourself a favor and walk away. It may look like a great deal, but it's a financial trap waiting to happen. And if you thought the Monster 937 was a bad investment, wait until you hear about the next bike on this list: a Harley Davidson model that dealerships can't give away no matter how big the discount. Number 1. Harley Davidson LiveWire. On paper, this bike sounded like a revolution. The LiveWire is powered by an electric motor producing exactly 100 horsepower and 84 pound-feet of torque. It can sprint from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 3 seconds, and Harley Davidson promised a futuristic riding experience unlike anything else on the road. But in 2025, the LiveWire has become a financial disaster. Dealers across the country are stuck with unsold LiveWires collecting dust on their showroom floors, and they are now offering massive discounts, some slashing prices by as much as $6,000 just to get rid of them. Despite these discounts, buyers still are not biting. The LiveWire has become the poster child for a bike nobody wants. When it launched, the LiveWire carried an eye-watering sticker price of $29,799. That is more than double the price of many popular gasoline-powered cruisers with similar performance. And that is before you factor in the hidden costs of electric charging infrastructure and battery maintenance. Then there is the range. On a full charge, the LiveWire can barely push past 146 miles under ideal city riding conditions. Out on the highway, that number drops significantly. For long-distance riders, especially Harley Davidson's loyal fan base, that is simply unacceptable. Nobody wants to stop every 100 miles to recharge for 45 minutes, especially when a gas cruiser can keep going for 250 miles on a single tank. Beyond the price and range, the market just never warmed up to the idea of an electric Harley Davidson. The traditional Harley crowd wants the growl of a V-twin engine, the rumble beneath the seat, and the mechanical feel of American steel. The LiveWire's quiet, whirring ride stripped away everything they loved. Even younger riders, who the LiveWire was supposed to attract, stayed away. For that kind of money, they could get a gasoline sport bike with more power, more range, and fewer headaches. By 2025, the LiveWire's resale value has collapsed, and Harley Davidson dealerships are practically begging customers to take them off their hands at deep discounts. And that wraps up our countdown. There you have it. The 10 motorcycles now worthless in 2025. If you are thinking about buying a bike this year, do not get stuck holding the bag. And if you want to know which motorcycles actually hold their value and are worth your hard-earned money, hit that subscribe button because that video is coming next.